So I've got some updates for you today, as well as a couple of rehouses that I've been meaning to do. So let's crack into it. I've got my jumping spider babies. So in the last video, or a few videos back, I had about 50, didn't I? 3 now. Most of them died off, which I'm so gutted about. But then I think they do have quite a high mortality rate anyway as spiderlings. A lot of the more experienced people and videos I'd seen where they were trying to raise the spiderlings of the jumping spiders, they also didn't have a very good success rate. So I don't quite know what the secret is, because these 3 that are now a little bit bigger or a little bit more mature seem to be doing okay. I'm hoping now that they'll kind of thrive, and they're feeding and stuff as well, which I think was a lot of the problem. Like, I did notice it took a lot to get them to eat, and I tried all kinds of things. I was trying springtails and the smallest fruit flies, I can't remember what they're called, but they just, for the most part, did not seem to want to eat. And then they started slowly dying off, and it got to the point where I kind of separated off about 10 of them. They were still continuing to die off, and I was putting fruit flies in each of the containers, but these 3 have been eating, and they seem to be doing okay now. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to raise these to maturity. I mean, I'll be honest, I was hoping to have a load of them so I could give some away or sell them or whatever, but if I've just got 3, I'll probably just keep these ones. We'll see. But yeah, they're doing well now. And as you can see, they're happily munching away on a fruit fly there. But I'll leave them in these small containers for now, as they seem to be establishing themselves and progressing okay. On the note of babies, I've also had some assassin bug nymphs start hatching out, which I'm really pleased about. The assassin bugs have been thriving really well. There was one incident where one of them was molting and got eaten by some of his tank mates because he was all nice and soft and squishy, I guess. So before he had a chance to harden up, he did get eaten. So I've kind of upped the feeding a little bit, because I thought maybe they weren't getting enough food, and obviously then took the opportunity to have a little snack. But in all honesty, I was not expecting any assassin bug babies, because there isn't a very appropriate area in that tank for them to lay their eggs particularly. The soil has to be quite moist in the area that they lay in, and with how I've got that tank set up, I didn't feel like there was an area for that, but I was wrong, because I looked in there the other day and I could see at least 5 of them, and they're pretty good at hiding too, so there's probably quite a few in there. Not sure what I'll do with those yet. We'll probably see how many there is first, and then either put them in a bigger enclosure or move them on to somebody else. So, onto the rehousing. I've got 2 things I want to rehouse today. First thing is the pink dragon millipedes, and then we'll go on to the sun beetles, which need another rehouse. I've only just moved them, but I do want to move them into something that's got a little bit more room for substrate, so any larvae or eggs that they lay will be able to then burrow a bit more easily and have a bit more space to move around. So the pink dragon millipedes, it's not so much of a rehouse, it's more of just an exchange of the substrate, because I'm a little bit concerned as their numbers have been dropping quite a lot, and they were doing really well, and I had loads of them, and I was like, I've cracked this, but just lately I have noticed them, they've been dying off a lot, so I don't know whether that's something to do with the substrate, something that's got in there maybe that's contaminated them, or could just be natural, they could just be dying off, but either way, it'd be nice to kind of get a count of how many I have. So as it stands presently, I've got these 2 containers here, which I've been keeping them in. This was the original one, and then this is the one that I moved some more into once they started exploding in numbers. But what I'm going to do is empty these out, or empty this out rather, into a bigger tub, and then hopefully I can kind of sift through it and pull some of the millipedes out and then rehouse them. So even looking in here now, I can see a lot of corpses, or some corpses. But then I can see movement too, so it's not all bad news. And once I've done this move, I'm not going to throw the substrate out. I am going to keep it, because there may be eggs in there, and there might be some that I miss, so at least then they can still hatch out and have a chance. Now, it's probably going to be quite a long process to sift through all this substrate, so we'll fast forward a bit, and I'll catch up with you once we've got them all in my separate enclosure, and then we can have a count on how many I've actually got. Right, so I've rifled through all of the substrate and found a grand total of 2. 2 millipedes left. Now, there may be some babies that were really small, or ones that I'd missed, or eggs and stuff, so I'm keeping the substrate. But just on the off chance I can kind of get the population growing again, I'll certainly rehouse these two. And hopefully they'll have some babies themselves and it will start the cycle all over again. I had heard that these aren't the easiest millipedes to keep, so I was wary from the start, but when I started seeing how many babies they were having, I was like, oh yes, I've cracked this. But I do think the fatal flaw might have been that there was so many, the population kind of exploded and then crashed. But we live and learn, so let's get some substrate in this one and pop them in. Hopefully we'll have some more luck later down the line. Alrighty then, so first things first, I'm going to put some moss at the edge, just as a resource for them if they want to get some water, as this will retain the moisture a little better. And that's just store-bought sphagnum moss. And then I'm going to fill the rest with natural soil, which they absolutely loved last time. I wish I'd gone with this from the start. I mean, maybe this will make the difference, or maybe it killed them off. Who knows? There's only one way to find out. Because last time I kind of topped it up with some of this stuff and they were all over it. There we go. And that should be more than enough for two of these little fellas. The sole survivors, or little chaps. Well done you guys for surviving. Good luck. Have lots of babies please. Right, sun beetles. Now, I can't remember if I said, I was quite sad though. The oldest standing mantid I had, Mildred, passed away about a week ago. She was a beefy, giant Asian mantis. So now that she's unfortunately gone, we've got her enclosure, which isn't the best. I don't like it. It's so flimsy and plastic and horrible. But it does have a lot of digging space here. So I think I'm just going to rehouse the sun beetles into this. And they should be a lot happier. Right, that's in. Let's give it a good mix around. Now we've got some leaves in there. The beetles like to forage around in the leaf litter. I think it makes them feel a little more safe too. I would like a way for them to get up to the top, because they are attracted to the light and they will scale things to try and get up towards the light, so let's make that a bit easier for them if I can. Right, that should be sufficient for some beetles. Look at this little guy. He's just having a nice munch. I'm about to disturb him. Don't worry about it, you can bring your mango with you. Now, we should just be able to move them fairly easily from one place to another. They've got surprisingly good grip though, these little guys. They do not like being picked up. And they almost always decide to have a dump on your fingers when you move them, which is lovely. At least it smells like fruit though. Come here you. Wow, he's a really pretty one. Very brightly coloured, this guy. Appreciate the lighting's pretty bad. I need to get a proper light, I think, for showcasing these little fellas. Right, sorry to disturb you. In your pop. Right, they're all moved. I'll keep this enclosure just as a spare if I need something in an emergency, because again, it's another acrylic one, which I don't like. And that is everything. But I just had a knock at the door and I've got 2 boxes of stuff that's just been delivered, which I'm really excited to open, so I'm probably just going to record that now as well. But for this video, thank you for watching. Cheers for taking the time out of your day to watch it. If you like this kind of content, I usually post videos once a week. I've got an Instagram and a Twitch in the description below. Until next time, take care and see you soon.